Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Reaction Time Quarterfinals Edition. We are out here, ready to talk through group stage joy and heartbreak for so many different teams. I think all three of us took a hit on a team that we had strong feelings for um, over the course of the second set of group stage games. So it's unfortunate to say, and we are going to start with mine because we're going to start with Group A, um, which ends in Dom One Gaming going through as the top seed,
Shock.
6-0. Shock, not shock. It's still the 6-0 doesn't happen that often. I don't have the number in front of me, but it has not happened very often, and it has not always led to a world championship. But it is still notable that they swept the games. The rest of the games were full of shenanigans. I did not expect to have hope for my pick of Rogue maybe getting out of this group and have that get to a tiebreaker. Um, but it did. Um, and then we have the dramatic demise of FPX, which is and we talked about this
Bonkers.
in chat. I'm gonna start there. I I think Scout broke them in the finals. Like I cannot overstate how dominant this team was for 95% of the summer split in the LPL. Douenby was the MVP of the league. He was the best player in the league. He was deservedly talked about as one of the top three players in the world going into this tournament, even after getting face rolled by EDG in the LPL summer finals. I I saw a report today that Tien might have been dealing with wrist problems again and had been able to play up to it, but like this was not the team that played in China this summer. And like even in their week one games, they won two of them, but were not exceptionally dominant. And then to go 0 and 4, like to pull a whatever 2015, 2016 C9 and go 0 and 4 on the in the second day of groups is just unfathomable for where this team was 2 months ago. Eric, I want to start with you. What did you see anything that was a hallmark of this, or was it just everything was fundamentally broken for this team?
Uh, it really looked like they had a lack of uh, synergy on what they were trying to do on the map, where they, pick wise, they were picking things like their normal champions. Doinb had a mid rumble game. They tried Galio. They did some other nonsense that only FPX would do, and like Tien and Crisp seemed really out of it on the map, and weren't cooperating with the game plan. And when you're jungle support synergy, which is what won you a world championship 2 years ago, is out of sync or not acting right, then it's really hard for Doinb and Nuggery to be able to really carry you through this with the way the meta looks right now.
And Steven, I know you saw some of these games from a more NA perspective. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, just not cohesive play. I think it just boils down to like if the left hand's not doing what the right hand's doing. I I think their picks were fine. They weren't like super meta, but I guess like what everybody found was like work towards your play style and you'll be better off. But at the same time, it's just like they lost. They got outplayed, and I we're talking about the best teams. So getting outplayed when you're not at your best, like obviously you're not going to win. And a lot of these teams, like Cloud9 specifically, started to elevate at the end. And so like that's what happened.
Well, yeah, and like let's go there next. We saw C9 be against all belief get wins over both Rogue and FPX to get the three-way tie for second in this group and get the bye to the final tiebreaker game, um, which I think might have been pretty critical for them because the how Riot's tiebreakers worked where it was fastest game time and wins, I want to say
Mhm.
was the tiebreaker, and C9 had the fastest game time in their two wins on Thursday. Um, and therefore got the bye out of the first round, and then Rogue gets the win over FPX to everybody's surprise. C9 gets a second straight win over Rogue, and they're out of the groups. So, Steven, start with you. We talked about this last week. There was no way this was happening. But
No,
like,
this is
when did you
impossible.
start to believe?
I never believed. I figured it would come down to the tiebreaker and bumble it. But I guess Perks was like, oh shit, I'm not gonna get my contract renewed. I need to kind of like figure it out.
Well, and I mean, you call back to it. I think NA is now like some ridiculous thing, like 1 in 12 all time in tiebreakers
Yeah,
at Worlds. It's
right.
something like that, and
They
Europe
don't
has
win in tiebreakers.
anybody
They get
in
found
tiebreakers.
out, and that's like game over. Like
But
choke.
credit to Perks, credit to Blabber, who was exceptional
Yep.
on day 2,
Yep.
like just out of this world. And like Perks played some magnificent games, but Blabber should get a ton of credit for how stuff went and how he has turned around from some of the pieces of his reputation that were in shambles at various points in 2021.
Yep.
Eric, what were your thoughts on C9 progressing out of the group?
It was really Perkson's been like hard carrying this team.
Yep.
With in the tiebreaker games specifically, like towards the end of the day, like it was very clear from like Blebber had his moments of brilliance, but like he and Vulcan were running it down in that game against Rogue, and it didn't matter because they had the G2 power who knew how to abuse Rogue at the end of a day of League of Legends, and it worked out for them pretty well.
Yeah, Sven showcased the best of his play style of just like being super, super safe in lane and getting that advantage, and then in the last 5 minutes of the game, just like right clicking people into oblivion, like full display of what he does best. So that's nice to see that pay off.
For sure. And commiserations to Rogue, who made it further than anybody expected they would make it. Knocking FPX out is a huge achievement. But again, this team falls with a, in theory, very winnable game to get out of this group at the very end. But it turns out Rogue was cursed to lose to NA after all these years.
After all this time.
It's not TSM, so it's not quite the perfect meme, but it's still pretty good. So Dom1 and C9 out of Group A. Group B was less surprising in how it broke down in some ways, because I think we kind of all expected T1 and EDG to be the two teams to come out. I did not expect EDG to drop 2 games. One of them, 200 Thieves,
Yikers.
at the end of the day. But the LPL curse of week 2 was not absent from EDG. And like, I'm going to skip over DFM. Apologies. They went 06. They were the only team that went 06 of anyone, including Fnatic. So they did their best. Godspeed. Um, I how does 100T unlock that last game before it's the last game, Eric?
Well, gosh, it's really hard because FBI had a great series. Like he played well in both weeks. Really, it's one of the things called out is like 100 Thieves is actually still terrible at playing around topside, and playing around topside is what the good teams were doing in this tournament. So, so my big answer is shift focus on the map. It doesn't help that they're in a group with EDG, who who's like one of the more solid late game team fighting teams in this tournament. So even if you like are still in it come late game and you're hoping to make a comeback, good luck. And T1, who arguably has the best meta read out of anybody in the tournament. So it's really hard when owner is playing Poppy jungle into your like engage comps, and they're like all in on the Kana basket, with like Faker having like the least gold share out of, or second to least gold share out of any mid laner in the entire tournament, and is purely playing to like snowball his top lane. So it's really tricky.
I know, just looking at T1 stats real quick, over 6 group stage games, Kana is top team damage percentage at 31% out of the top lane, which is a little bit absurd.
And that speaks to play style just as much as to like, you know, skill level, because I'm pretty sure the other top laner who's high on that list is going to be Xiaohu. For RNG.
Top
Um,
laners worth investing in and giving resources to because they'll do something with.
and then actually letting them carry the game from a side lane rather than having them go down to gank for your like behind by 2 level Tristana. Yeah, I don't know, Steven.
Why? I wasn't even being
Yeah.
aggressive, and you gotta come at me like that.
I will note that as I look at the stats here, there's a consistent trend among the top damage percent things here. It's the 3 of the 4 Korean teams are the 3 top teams because it's Nuguri, Khan, and Kana as the top 3 in that order. Nuguri did 34.7% of one's damage through 6 games.
FPX. Nuguri
Do you
did
want to know the other
FPX.
funny stat?
Yeah.
The other
Yep.
Korean top laner from a Korean team is dead fucking last.
Yeah, Morgan. Yeah,
Dead last.
Morgan doesn't count. Just pay no attention to Morgan. Yeah.
Like the range from Nuguri's 34.7% and Morgan is lower than anyone at 20%.
Bark.
Yikes. So
20% means that like you're expecting your support to have like equal damage share to you almost. Is that what that is? Because like that's pretty brutal.
it's
Because like
something.
20% is like, you know, the equality benchmark, right? Where it's
Well,
everyone does their fair
but then
share.
see, I clicked to where I thought the stats would be on this, and when your mid laner is doing 30% of the damage on your team, things balance out. Oh, your mid laner is Chovy. Oh, okay. Yeah, you know,
It checks.
we'll get to them because um, but EDG they're through, but they probably should have had a tiebreaker game to play and didn't. Eric, you're a Flandre aficionado. You've got some affinity for EDG. Do you think they're going to turn it around in bracket after wobbling a little bit this last week?
I think they will, partially because Flandre's been through the Xiaohu grinder a few times in playoffs already, so they're familiar with what Royal is going to be doing in every game of this best of 5, and we know how that EDG has strats for this. They'll also be more comfortable in a best of 5. EDG is definitely a better best of 5 team than a best of 1 team. So I expect them to show up. And Viper is still playing insane. And Cryan looks like trash. Like I think that the meta is still great for EDG and they'll have a good job in the series.
For sure. And then T1, I didn't expect T1 to look this good now. But they kind of do, and it's with Faker playing more of a supportive style, a lot of TF. Faker, I think I was looking at the mid damage percentage charts just a little bit ago. I think Faker had the lowest damage share of any mid laner in the tournament.
Yep.
He's setting up his team, and they're playing huge around Kana and around Gumayushi because, like, looking at their pick ban, it's 4 games of Aphelios, 3 games of Lulu in the bottom lane. It's we're gonna do the Aphelios Lulu thing and we're gonna make it work. So I did not expect them to be at the level that they're at. So I'm interested to see them moving forward. Eric, any final thoughts on 100 Thieves moving forward? Do you expect roster changes or are they gonna stick to it?
I hope they stick with current roster. They uh you know, they started to really look better. They just got the new coach in, and with the new coach in, they won the split in NA. Like, give Reaper more time to actually work with this team because they're on record saying that they barely had any time to coordinate with Reaper before this split started. So it was all focused on individual play for the entirety of that split, and then they had no time to prep before Worlds. So like, give them time to prep. see what they can do with prep as opposed to with no prep before making any large scale decisions.
A thing to keep an eye on with them is I think Someday has 2 years left before he has to go do military service. Um, it's
I
either 2 or 3.
I don't know what happens with that when now that he has a like a green card. But
Yeah, that's
it's
sketch.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if like it's like I do not know the logistics of like the Korean requirements for that. I know from watching other sports that ain't much that excuses you from it, even for like their highest profile people. It was a big deal when they won gold at the Asian Games in soccer because that's one of the few things that can excuse even like their highest profile soccer players from doing military service and losing 2 years of their prime of their career. And I know esports is I think it was announced sometime like a month ago that it was a demonstration sport at the Asian Games last year, and I think it's going to be like maybe on official sport tier next year, which would be a really big deal for the Korean players if it happens and if they win, because I think that's one of the things that can excuse them from military duty. But it's regardless of where you're working abroad or home, I think it's at least an expectation that you have to come do it.
Yeah, but it's a citizenship application thing. I'm assuming that like if you're here and you can go for citizenship and dodge that, might go for it. Who knows?
From what I know about that, it just means you can't go back,
Yeah.
basically, which is a choice, but that would not be an easy one.
No.
Like I think I like to give another example from League. I think Doinby doesn't intend to go back and is just going to live in China forever. But not everybody's gonna do that
No.
when that's like family or friends or history or anything like that. Like it's different. His just looking at Someday, he has a contract through next year as it is. He's 25, so I think that hits at 28. So he's either got 2 or 3 years left. So that's I think a piece to keep somewhat of an eye on to see if he's going to decide to retire. Like obviously the big conversation point is around Khan because this is his last year before he's going to do that and going out with a vengeance with Dom 1. We'll see if that happens. But anyway, just something to keep an eye on with their roster. Group C, we already alluded a little bit to the Hanwha Life Esports show, the Chovy show, and its ups and downs.
Yeah.
I think I talked most about HLE in our chat thread in this server through the week because they frustrate me so much. They deeply annoy me as a team, and yet they get to a tiebreaker for first in this group. They get out over PSG Talent, which I did not think they would do, and then lay a just enormous egg in the tiebreaker. It's farm. I like it. It's the pick ban question for a couple teams here. Like we're gonna talk about um Mad in a little bit in the tiebreak in their last tiebreaker game against Gen G that didn't matter that much, but you put your best performing player on a pick that doesn't have the agency necessary to carry a game. The Jin pick uh was a problem. The TF pick, while it is great and has been wonderful for so many things, it is very hard to carry a game on Twisted Fate. We have seen that across many, many teams and many games and many mid laners. So it doesn't matter how much gold Chovy is up or how fast the Snow Flame Horizon comes if he can't win you the game when the other players on your roster are not as good. Deft had some good games, but like this team is called like the Chovy Life Esports meme exists for a reason. He is this team. And if they cannot set him up to just go win them the game, it I do not see them progressing far in this tournament, even though they got out over PSG, which surprised me. Eric, what did you think about how Group C shook out?
Um. Well, HLE is the one team I think in the that's made it to the playoff stage that didn't manage to figure out how to play around top side. which is an impressive shakeup. And it shows that, even though they have some very weak pieces, that like the pieces that they have that are strong did show up to play. So credit to them for that. Other than that, RNG showed up and is doing nonsense. They're a great best of one team, unlike EDG, which is pretty rare for the LPL teams who've never played best of one in anything other than World's group stages. Um, so, uh,
It's hard to
so
be ready for Xiaohu.
yeah. Well, like he played. So week 1 he played Lucian, Syndra, and Gnar, right?
He
And
played
then
top Syndra in a game at Worlds, Eric.
yeah, and then he
because
got
he
to play
can.
because he can't, and he got to, and they won. They like hard stomped that
Yes,
game.
they did. It's
And then
stupid. I hate
let's
it.
see, and then he got to play Kennen, and then he got to play Gwen, and he played Camille. Like
Yeah,
he
so
got
like
to
he
do,
played mostly meta top laners, but he also played top Syndra in a game, and you can't trust this man.
and they're like one of their losses. He was playing top Gragas, like top pure AP Gragas.
For reasons.
So, yeah, and so like they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and so yeah, and like they look beatable because Cryan doesn't look very strong, and he got away with playing TF a number of times. So don't let him play TF. His Galio performance into Chovy was atrocious, but like it didn't matter because um some stuff went very wrong that game for HLE. But like
Does it
yeah,
rhyme with Schmorgan?
yes, and so like but like so I don't know. I think they have a lot of things that that go good for them in this meta because it's playing around top lane, which is their entire playstyle. On the flip side, like they have some weak supporting pieces who could be really abused going against EDG for another round here.
I just like
Like
I'm
for
gonna
example,
I'm gonna go real quick and look up.
I think that RNG has to ban LeBlanc every game in this best of 5, and both sides of the rift, and that's not a good place to be.
HLE didn't even make playoffs in Summer Split. When's the last time T1 and HLE actually played each other? In the finals of the Gauntlet. Okay. Oh right, because HLE almost reverse swept it.
Yeah,
That's
they
the
like put
spice.
in Guma Yushi like mid series or something, or they like swap between. They were still swapping 80 carries in that
Yeah.
set.
That's well. No, they played Guma all 5 games.
Oh really?
Yeah, they
Am I
played
thinking
in the
playoffs?
final. They played Guma all 5 games.
Okay.
This was bigger plan. It was a bunch of Azir Oriana in the mid lane. Baker played Azir like the entire series. Did he play it all 5 games? He played 1 game of Kassadin and then 4 Azir games. So it feels like that meta is going to be a little bit different, but yeah, like Azir. Chovy should play some Azir.
That's what I was curious about, like when TF is taken off the table, like what characters are going to come out to set the stage. I think Oriana is actually pretty decent pickup, especially when you're in best of fives. Zero, Oriana, and Victor start showing up very strangely around Worlds time, best of five. So
Not that at least it's not Corki.
maybe question mark?
I don't think we see Corki.
No.
But I don't know. I think current form T1 should stomp that series. But this matchup also doesn't tend to go that way, and HLE just sometimes gets weird results, like the fact that they made it to this tournament. So I like whatever. I don't trust them. Any thoughts for the carcasses of PSG Talon and Fnatic on the way out?
You got to feel for Fnatic just a little bit. It's pretty rough.
They started to really pull it together week 2, but the 0-3 start is really brutal if you're not Cloud9 and have perks on your roster.
Yeah, I am curious to see what happens with that team, given some of the personal instability involved in both Upset and Whippo's responses to how the tournament went. We still don't know actually what happened with Upset. And Whippo, I know, posted a big long spiel about his side of whatever was going on with him, which is apparently also a huge mess. So I'm interested to see how and if Fnatic rebuilds this.
Can you give me the spark notes on the Whippo thing? I hadn't heard anything about that.
Something about his girlfriend and him having a bad, like, he made a bad decision with his girlfriend and therefore was in a really bad mental place and blah blah blah, girlfriend.
Woof. Okay.
It read very 16-year-old boy. It did not read well for him, in my opinion.
As an adult
So
man.
I don't know.
Well, I think a part of that also plays into like the nonsense that is like this world's environment where they're locked in a random hotel in Iceland for the entire time. Like, this isn't like a worlds where you can like meet up with your loved ones on the outside and work shit out or anything. It's like, no, you're gonna stew about this mistake you made for like the next like 3 weeks while prepping for this major tournament, like while living with like 4 other dudes in a room or whatever. Like, this is not the best environment for mental health problems, I guess,
No.
is what I would say.
You'd probably be a safe bet in making that statement.
Yeah.
The then now we move on to the true chaos. Because Group D did the unthinkable. I was talking to my wife about like how the tournament group format was constructed because I had to explain Group A and why it was such a big deal that C9 got out. And I mentioned to her that the 3-3 group had never happened on Thursday. And then I'm like,
Uh-oh.
oh, well,
Oh.
okay, we're going down this road. So we
Mm.
get the full 3-3 group. We reset it out. We have a little teensy little bracket of best of ones to get out of the group. And Steven, your boys didn't do it.
It's so close to hindsight, man. So many questions I have.
How did you like? Okay,
I think the
just
single
to
biggest
get your mental state. How did you
Sure.
feel going into the tiebreaker with Genji?
The second I saw Yumi was picked, I was pretty upsetty. And then I saw Olaf as well. It's not great. It doesn't
There was
feel
no
good.
Olaf in that
That
game.
letting the Yumi through has not seemed
Yeah.
like it's
That
worked
wasn't
well
the
for people generally.
It wasn't the Olaf game. It was the Yumi. So it was like they first picked Yumi, and then TL respond with locking the Xin Zhao and the Tristana. And
Yeah,
at
and
that point,
Tristana
is when I said, "Oh no!" in chat.
Yeah, just the tactical Tristana showed up again.
And then but on the flip side of the rift, like there were some Genji power picks in this draft. David, anything you see on the other side of the rift that you want to mention?
I'd, what could it be? What could it possibly be? Do I
Like the
know? I need to go pull up this match history to
I
see
know
how
that's what I'm
obvious
doing
it is.
too.
Is it? Was there? What? Is it the J4? Is that where
Oh
we're going
yeah,
here?
Oh, I was going with the BDD Zoe
Zoe. Yeah, that was
in
also a
mid lane,
nightmare.
who just like hard destroyed them this game. Yeah, and like Rascal's pretty good at Graves too. Like, this was a nuts like
Oh,
team comp
Rascal
from Genji.
soloing Alfari up that.
Soloing
Oh my
Alfari top
god.
lane.
I
Yeah.
was in the office and I was just like just completely like be
Yeah.
belligerent.
So So from people who were doing watch the streams, Rascals Graves was his best champion going into the World's group stage. BDD is a career Zoe player. Like last year at Worlds, we talked about how like all the good Zoe players were showing up, and BDD was like number 1 or number 2 on our list. And then here they also had the Yumi Misfortune bot lane. So it was a nuts comp from Genji. And TL assembled something they thought would have a pretty reasonable answer. They got the Jason to what they assumed would be a decent or winning top lane. They had an engaged support with a safe AD carry so that the goal is core JJ is roaming to snowball their lanes. They got the power pick jungler in the Jinjiao as opposed to the like against like the Jarvan, who we know is more of a gank support and team fight coordination jungler. Like so like they definitely had a game plan going into this, but it fell apart really fast.
Yeah, there are a lot of little mistakes too. Just really like I don't know. I don't want to say a game of inches because it kind of like fell apart really quick and they got away with it, but because the
To
first time
me,
they played, it was a lot closer, and then this one was
Well,
just not that.
well, and TL won the first time they played on
Yes,
day 2,
yes,
yeah,
with
which
some
like
sweet,
I'm
and that was still close though, so it wasn't like TL like won and then just like shit the bed. Like that game was intense, and that boiled down to like a Syndra like flank out of the darkness to win
they
that.
must have. I'm looking at so it was both teams won on blue side on day 2.
Mm,
So like Genji won the tiebreaker on blue side, TL won the group stage game on blue side. And TL having to change their bans. The win, they ban Lucian Aphelios, Genji bans LeBlanc TF. Genji, like game 2, TL bans Lucian Aphelios, Genji bans LeBlanc
Camille.
Camille, and leaves TF up, which I think TF
and
got banned
neither of
second
them,
phase.
yeah, neither of them picked mid laners first rotation.
Yeah. And so then like you have Genji bans Aurelia, takes Aurelia off the table. So that's their third ban instead of Zinzhao. So they're targeting solo lanes in these bans more than they were in game 1.
Mm-hmm.
So then it leaves TL side, you have Yumi, Lee Sin, TF all up going into your last ban on red side. So they ban the Lee and have to give Yumi,
Which
which
I
I
think
think is an interesting call of
Yeah,
do you
it
give Lee instead?
it really felt to me like they kept getting surprised in pick ban in these games where like they were like, oh snaps, what's happening here in this series with Genji, but like in some of their games in like the other in like week 1 and even some of the games they won earlier in the day too, where it really felt like they were getting surprised in pick ban. They just like kind of got thrown for a loop by how some of them shook out, and then got really punished potentially on gameplay.
Yeah, so that was just interesting to look back at how that ended up going down. Are they getting Steven, are they sticking to their guns? I assume you think they are.
As far as I think you have to. I don't see where your like legitimate upgrade is. Like I think tactical still has some refinements, but I don't think it's worth like picking up someone. I don't know. I just don't see where you would like make a fundamental improvement on this roster.
Yeah,
On the flip
it
side,
still like it still feels like it functionally on paper could be the best roster in NA. Like
And they can be. They just aren't. I don't know. There's something like they don't have a coach. Like I like Cold, but I don't know if he's really like showing up.
I saw headlines from a cold interview today that basically read as the "please don't fire me"
Yeah,
quotes. Like where are these quotes? I need to read verbatim what the headline on I saw on.
yeah. I mean, this wasn't the job that he was hired to do at the end of the day.
Well, and then also like how much power does he actually have as like this interim guy? Like, because like
Right.
the team definitely had some cohesion problems inside of this game. Like Alfari had this lead, and then he like hard forces this 1v1 against Graves. But then even after that, he continues to try and team fight with this Jace pick, and he's playing it kind of like he played the Gnar in the game that they won. Only he's not a Gnar
No,
this game; he's a Jace, and
could be
so
that
it
Scion. He hovered it. I think that would
yeah,
have been interesting.
and so then they like get in this really awkward spot where they're really expecting tactical to hard carry and that doesn't work against this like Zoe comp. It's
No.
very awkward. And like so it really felt like coordination issues. Also, like in the games today, Core JJ hard forced some fights. Or not today, but on
Yeah,
the
in this
last day.
game, yes.
Yeah, like Core JJ like hard forced some fights, really over engaged, trying to make things happen so that they could win. And then like Alfari was following up, but like it seemed like they were on a different page from like Santorin and Tactical, where like they're hard forcing, and it looked to me like Alfari and Core JJ felt like they had to hard solo win these games because they couldn't rely on tactical specifically to step up. And that's really a brutal spot. And if that is like the underlying mojo here, they should make a roster change to try and like increase confidence, whatever it would be.
Yeah, I wish Alfari wasn't such a beast because I would say like that might be that, but that's my
He's he's so much of the reason they did anything in NA this year that like you just
absolutely,
can't.
yeah, like individual skill, but man, he is not. It doesn't really feel like he's syncing up with everybody on the team all the time, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe tactical is the right call. I can't tell. I'm too close to it, I guess.
Also, like they have this weird thing with jungle meta where it's like they're playing junglers that theoretically makes sense into what's going on, but they're not playing them the same way the other teams are. Like when they're playing Trundle, it's purely for disengage. It's not into tanks. They locked Trundle for Santorin against
Oh
a no tank
yeah,
team.
and
And it's like
lost.
and it was purely for peel. They had a pure peel disengage comp where Core JJ and Alfari are just like hard diving the enemy team. It's like, what are you doing here? There's like a clear like strategic flaw in this version of TL
Yeah,
that's not like a single player thing. And like it's beyond players because they've done this with Grig too. So it's not like it's a Santorin thing with the jungle picks. It's like this team needs chump junglers who are going to do this kind of like peel slow tank play style because they don't know how to exert map pressure, which is very strange because core is very good. um
yeah. But and then we just are circling around. Like we don't mention Jensen in these conversations at all. Like I think he did really well in this tournament, but
until
till he was not.
until he got
BDD got.
bopped the last
Oh
game.
my god, absolute wienering.
Well, and like you hate to see and shape a narrative around a pro player's career being shaped by their failures.
Mm-hmm.
But Jensen, in the highest pressure moments of his career, has had notable bad performances multiple times. And I do not want that to be the definition of a great player's career. However, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So they should sign Bjergsen. He'll fix it.
Yeah, I don't think that is gonna happen because he would have to sell his stakes in his team.
They should sign Power of Evil. Clearly,
That
he
would
will
be
fix it.
great. That I would love. I would love to see that. Move Jensen to the coach or something. Let's just pretend it's Bjergsen and just move him
It
to the
feels
coach.
kind of awkward to me. Like it would feel awkward to me moving away from Jensen, who's who's got narrow champion pool issues, but like has some really star performances at Worlds on his comfort picks, to like a control mage only player who also has a very narrow champion pool and has all the same flaws. So I'm not sold on that strat. I'm just gonna go out there and say it, but like I understand the intent there. Like
Yeah, but that
for
and
me, mid lane is not the issue with this team.
no, and I think this is where it's just like it's kind of hard to like decisively upgrade this team without knowing like personal synergies in the back end.
All right, let's talk about Mad and LNG because
Woo lad.
boy, the tiebreaker 2 game is one of the best games for narrative alone that I've seen at Worlds in a hot minute because it was a blast. And like it didn't matter, but I saw a tweet at the moment that it happened that the Carsey double kill right at the end of the game, that's in every Worlds montage for the next 10 years.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter that they probably didn't need the kills to win the game. That moment is in the montage. It's every single one. So Mad 2-0s LNG on the day, once in the group play, once in the tiebreaker. Humanoid was just an absolute monster in both games. 7-11 in the tiebreaker on LeBlanc, 6-1 and 6 on Oriana in the group stage game. Just absolutely bodied Icon in both games. And they showed up. Armut was also immense, particularly in the first game, 6-1
He was
and
as
3 on
wide
Gwen.
as could be.
And it was, as Eric put it, the tiebreaker game was quite the Mad Lions game, but it was a quite the spectacle to watch. Eric, how did Mad do it? How did they get through?
The big answer is that when you get to mid late against Mad Lions, if you haven't built up an insurmountable advantage, they're going to start doing some nonsense on the Rift. Is what I would say. Where they will out team fight you at a dragon pit, or with their macro play on the Rift, and then they're just gonna win. And it's really hard to beat them when it comes to that, especially when they end up with like some real power picks like Humanoid's LeBlanc, which you already called out, was absolutely massive. Especially had some advantages over Icon. And then Armut's fighting was also sick. Like it's just really hard to out team fight this team.
Significantly better than Ole's, which was very interesting. Ole really, like, we can laugh if we want to. He could not find openings on Kennen to get in that last game. Ends the game with 9 of LNG's. How many deaths did it
Yeah,
have of him? 9 deaths on the game,
out
just
of
because he kept
23.
getting caught without being
Yeah.
able to ult or only catching one person.
So like and he was going for some of these flanks, but Mad had great vision control. In one of the crucial fights, he was going for this flank, and Humanoid just immediately pounced on him behind the dragon pit and then like 100 to 0'd him. They blew like the Kennen ult away from the fight, so then they had no Kennen for the fight. There was just a lot of power happening, and it was great positioning for fights by Mad Lions, understanding when the pressure points could be applied. Everything that NA does poorly about positioning for neutral objectives, Mad Lions did well.
Absolutely. And it was still, I mean, skin of your teeth. They took the gold lead for the first time in this game at 42 minutes. Which
Which is
kind of
after
says it
they
all,
took
doesn't
the
it?
Elder Dragon fight into Baron buff.
First gold lead of the game. Yeah, and this was this against Soul? This was against Soul, yeah. Because Yeah, LNG took Cloud Soul at 33 minutes. Yeah, just hats off to them. They can team fight as well as any Western team recently, and that'll take you some places in this tournament. They could not get it done against Gen G in the final game. I don't blame them at all. It was after a game of that magnitude, after the number of games they'd played, after the length of the day, it kind of just looked like they ran out of steam. Not any discredit to Gen G, who played very, very well, but like I was not shocked that Mad lost that game. That looked pretty set in stone after what they had to do to win their previous game, and then to go right into the next one. Just there's no way.
Uh, in that game too, there were 4 bans targeted at Humanoid going into this game.
Deservedly.
And he still was on Victor, which is his comfort pick into the Syndra matchup, and he was still up CS going at like 10 minutes. The problem being that like Elyoya and Armut were like on top lane power picks. I would expect other teams to try and abuse Mad Lions in a similar fashion moving on in the tournament by putting Armut on Aurelia, which while a power pick is not an Armut champion.
No. Yeah,
To
because
make an addendum here, Mad Lions chose to ban Viego instead of Yumi.
yeah,
Bad idea. They thought they could punish it with the Lucian Nami because like the trade was MF Yumi for Lucian Nami
they
in bot
did it.
lane, and
However,
they had some good damages, but
but then Clid has this Olaf here. And
yeah,
as we saw in NA in spring,
Yeah.
Olaf Yumi is a really stupid combo.
That's what I was thinking of earlier. I merged these games in
It was
my
this
head.
game, yeah.
For the same reason of just like absolute fear.
You can't do anything about this Olaf on your face killing you.
No.
And like Gen G had enough of a lead by they got this to what 49 minutes, but like Gen G took every objective from 25 minutes on.
Yeah, and I think that goes to show, like, because Armut and Eliel, we're ooh, 6 and 5 deaths, so like 11 deaths in that matchup, and it's just
Armut had himself a really sad time in that lane.
yeah.
And he still was doing some stupid stuff in team fights towards the end of the game, but like the top lane attempts by Mad in both of these tiebreaker games in the early game were unfortunate, shall we say, because lest we forget in the LNG tiebreaker game, we're just gonna keep feeding kills to Ale by running into his turret and dying.
Yep.
That was part of why that game looked lost at 5 minutes, because we've fed 4 kills to the top lane for no reason, and we're gonna redive it again for fun.
I will say, if we see Yumi anymore in this tournament, I'm going to be pretty upsetty spaghetti.
well, somebody's gonna have to try and let it through because like the kind of like what Papa Smithy has said in like about the NA finals in LCS is that like teams have to come up with, especially in a best of 5, uh, ways to make your opposing team have a predictable pick ban. So how do you like control what the opposing team is going to pick into you in their pick ban? And if it's you leave up Yumi, so then they lock Yumi, which means that then they're going to lock these other champions, and then you think you have a winning strategy against it. Like that's one of the ways to make them predictable, which gives you ways to get value out of scrim practice for how these games play out. Versus, if you ban all the power picks and then you have no idea what they're picking, and then, you're up against Mad Lions, and then they end up with some nonsense uh, Malphite Kiana Victor comp against you. Like that's your own fault, and it's like, but there's no way for you to know that that's how it's going to be.
But there's things that
So
are still predictable that you can leave up. Like, you're going to leave up the Misfortune. You're going to leave up Twisted Fate. You're going to leave up Irelia. Those kind of things. Yumi is the one that I don't think is the option. If you're going to, like, unless you're going to, like, ban Misfortune, maybe. But are you? Are you really?
I like the TF is an interesting one to me. Like the
Hmm.
TF versus the Yumi, like for what you ban out there, because
Yeah,
like the TF is also very high win rate right now.
but I think it has more answers to it, just like within playing macro and in lane. But where Yumi is just too valuable on these, because Yumi just makes your best player better,
It's a
and you
good
have the
question.
best players.
Well, it's a good question because like the issue with the TF and macro thing is that the only teams that have tried to out macro TF have been like the teams that have lacked Galio or like Silas and Answer, and those teams have not had success in group stage. Like there was success in play-ins, but like Icon got wrecked every time he tried to pick like a counter global matchup. And that does not lead much credence to the idea of, uh, of trying to solve the problem that way.
Now, speaking of trying to solve problems, um, percent chance that Mad takes a game off of Dom One.
I'd say pretty high, at least one game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
if
like
they beat them just all the way, it'll be a best of 5, like all 5 games.
well, if
if
you want
Mad
that to
wins this
happen,
game, they win the tournament.
Yes.
maybe.
Straight
I
up.
think if Mad wins this, like all of a sudden all bets are off, and like we could get that NAEU final or some shit. But
That'd be
like
hilarious.
it's highly unlikely. Like so let's think about it. So one of the similarities
They
between
have to ban Yumi
Damwon,
against Dom One.
Yeah.
one
You
of the
cannot risk
similarities
that.
between these two teams is that like they both can throw early game and then beat you mid and late in just quality team fighting, right? So like so in that scenario, if Mad Lions can actually win an early game against Damwon, they might be in decent shape. Because like if they can still rely on their team fighting to be as good, then they have a shot. So maybe try and not hard in early
Well,
game.
but the problem is, right, like, Mad is just diet Dom One by that measure. Because Mad is
Yeah.
good at team fighting, but Dom One is the best team fighting team in the world. So, like, I fear if they go to the late game, we will put the two of them up, and I do not think it will go well for Mad. I hope that it does, because that would be a wonderful story. I think that Dom One are better team fighters.
I would like to paint a scenario where they're in the 5th game and Armut gets Wukong and they win. That's the timeline we could be on.
Thinking about timelines, like, and going by the philosophy that this is the dankest of possible timelines, I actually really like that idea from Steven. Because nothing that would be more appropriate to me than Khan getting knocked out in quarterfinals to Armut playing Malphite and Wukong in a best
Yes.
of 5 against him.
We're gonna get to spicy top lane picks in a little bit. I went and did some background research on another one of these matchups. We'll get there
Yeah.
though. C9 Gen G.
I have C9 winning 3-2
I
because it's
also have
perks.
C9 winning this series.
This is perks
Discuss.
against a poor macro LCK team. It's done.
It's over.
Locked 3-2 C9.
We're gonna get a
Yeah,
lot of games at this rate if we're talking about a lot of all the ways and not any confident 3-0s.
Like I went well like I want the Mad Lions. I think the Mad Lions damn one
I
game
do
is going to
not
be
think
four
Mad Lions
games.
down one is going to be close.
I think it's
Sorry.
4 games. Yeah. I think it's 4 games. I don't think it's that close. But like the C9 Genji game is going to go to 5 and it's going to be Perks winning it out because Genji has no idea how to macro. Like it's really fascinating because C9's the team where like sometimes they just don't know what to do in the early game and then they lose. And Genji is the team that has no idea what to do past 20. So it's like, which of these will win? And I'm siding with the team with perks.
Yep, I'm with that take. I think that this is a spectacular draw. I first thing I said when I saw it, I did not see this live. I was at work, so I caught up to it as soon as I got in. First thing I see when I see it is that's C9's best possible draw. That's an awesome draw for them because they have then. Are they on Royal EDG side of the bracket? Is that right?
Yeah.
I think that's right. And like, I think they've got a shot against either of those teams. I don't think it's a good shot, but I think they've got a shot based on how they looked last week. So speaking of Royal EDG, um, can I just check you on the last time these two teams played each other? They have not seen each other since week 6 of LPL summer, which was I don't have it. Oh yeah, July. um, Royal 2-0'd this, which I think was during the period of the split in the LPL where they'd lost like their first 6 games and looked kind of garbage, and then just go out and beat the number 1 team in the league casually. Can you guess what Xiaohu's 2 picks in this series were, Eric?
Was that when he was still playing top Cassiopeia?
Nope.
Or no? Okay. Cause like he had some crazy picks top lane.
Jace
Split.
and Mundo.
Mundo. Okay, so this was in the Mundo phase,
It was Mundo into Gwen.
which was the counter matchup into Gwen, because it was after the Mundo rework,
hmm
and it was like the one thing people felt comfortable playing into it.
Flandre went 0-5-0 in the series. Ugh. So this is a fun one. I thought for sure these two teams had played each other in playoffs, but RNG lost too early. Um, so they have not seen each other in a really long time at this point. I assume they've probably been scrimming each other for a long time. So I'm interested to see what the like in series meta turns into for this, because I imagine there's gonna be something weird here. Because like if you've been one of the teams that's gotten to scrim against Xiaohu and Xiaohu teams, you might know some more of the spice than anyone else does. So I'm interested to see like what develops in here. And I do think EDG wins the series, but I think it really could go either way.
These are also the 2 best top Lucian teams in the tournament still. So should be perma ban in this series.
Xiaohu hasn't played Graves yet, has he?
No,
Flandre has looked really good on Graves, and our Royal
Andres.
haven't showed it yet, which is an interesting one. I am looking up Xiaohu's picks.
Played
Yeah, he's
Gnar,
played
Syndra, Lucian,
Syndra, a couple Kennen games,
Kennen.
Gwen, Camille, Gragas, Lucian. And the Gwen was the bad one against HLE, which is interesting.
Yeah. He didn't look good on the Gwen, and then they lost the Gragas game
Yep.
against Fnatic.
He was 7-4-10 in that game, but so that's yeah. Who do you think wins that, Eric?
Oh, I think it's EDG. I think they're a better best of 5 team. It's pretty clear cut to me. Cryan's best champion is Twisted Fate. So if EDG doesn't let him play Twisted Fate, and like I said, I think that RNG has to ban LeBlanc every game in this series on both
Yep.
sides, and that's really brutal. In a spot to be going into this, because this is a great meta for Scout.
Steven, you agree?
Yeah, I'm sold. I've seen
I
enough
know
to
you're a
say,
deeply
yeah.
knowledgeable LPL viewer,
Yes,
but you
I'm
gotta give it a chance.
actually downloading it all right now to watch it frame by frame. Um, but yeah, just like as we talked about, like if you have some picks that you can't deal with like at all and you're forced to ban it, there's a lot of things on the table that then you suddenly have to deal with, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that at least consistently.
Yeah. So then we talked a little about T1 HLE earlier. I think T1 wins this series,
Yeah.
but I think it might be more interesting than we would expect going in on face value. It has been recently, but also this should be T1 3-0ing, and I don't know why it won't be, but it won't be.
E1 hasn't looked as good in best of 5s, in my opinion. Like they're a little bit more like wishy-washy with their pick ban strategy, and so when things fall apart, they kind of like lose identity pretty quickly. So, on on the flip side of EDG, who I think is really strong in best of fives and adaptation, like if T1 falls off, maybe the Chovy and Deft show can kick in and take a couple games.
Would surprise me, but many things on my life surprise me. Last call. We will chat before semifinals, so we'll see how poorly these ages. But right now, who do you see winning the tournament, and what's the final matchup?
Cloud9, and it's Mad Lions Cloud9. Easy, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric?
I think Dam1's gonna win. Sorry, and like they're on the opposite side of the bracket of like EDG, yeah.
Yep.
All right, it's like Dam1 EDG.
Like Damwon EDG was the call before the tournament even started. The
Yeah.
bracket is set up so that's what it can be. That's what I think it's going to be.
That's a lame script, my guy.
Chalk, baby. I like the thing that I said is like I think if Mad Lions beats Damwon, they win the whole tournament. I don't think they will beat Damwon, but I think if they do, they will win the whole tournament. But that's my outside case. I do think that C9 will at least get to the semis, and I think that them playing against an LPL team could be more interesting than we think. But I would like I can't say that Mad C9 is my like next most likely thing, but it's the next most likely thing I would pick for shenanigans. Like there's a world where it happens. It's just easier to pick chalk, and I believe that Damwon is the best team in the world, so I'm going to at the end.
Boring.
Yep, too bad. And that's about all we got. We don't need to talk about roster drama a little bit, even though we gave you guys a little tease of a couple of NA teams there, and the inevitable Bjerger return. What a good idea that's going to be. Surely nothing will go wrong.
We are in like Darien Gambit top lane 420 dank timeline here.
I think that Eric and I first argued about Bjergsen's proper utility on TSM in like 2014, and that makes me deeply upset that this is going to be relevant again in 2022. Just,
Oh.
I don't like it.
Man, and if they have Bjergsen and Huni on the same active roster, that's a red flag.
It's a spicy meatball. Anyway, we'll dig into that in like a month after all this world stuff is done. But speaking of things that are in like a month, it's nice. It's starting to feel like fall here in Iowa. I assume it is down in Missouri as well. So it's starting to be the time of year where you should start thinking about giving gifts to your friends and your family.
Your bro.
And you might consider doing that from a certain merch store, which you can find above this video in the link tree.
You should go there, go to the funky store for all your Crimbus gifts. Yay.
Or whatever holiday you celebrate.
Yes, also,
Or
actually
Eric's
celebrate
birthday, which was
more
last month, and
holidays.
I still haven't gotten him a present because I haven't seen him.
Find more holidays to celebrate because then you can get more merch as gifts for other people for other things. So look up in the history books what holidays are you not celebrating and start celebrating them because this is the year to do so.
You know what you need? Some funky Halloween merch.
Yeah.
Get it. Why not?
Absolutely.
And if spending money on merch isn't your thing, which I mean, get it together. But instead you want to consume some content. Do we have some content, Steven?
Do we have content? We're playing Metroid Dread. We're playing, I think Halo's coming out. We're playing the Pokemon Unite still. We're running through other games because we're posers and we're not going to be posers when we're done. So I know Eric and I have to record Pokemon trading card game because that has to happen. So it's out there. You should watch it. Get caught up. Be ready.
Here's a question related to one of those things. Eric, what is the most amount of money you would spend on a skin in a video game?
On a skin?
On a skin only.
Oh man. So I think the answer, because I have spent it before, is $30.
Okay.
And then
So you would not spend $40 on a skin.
Most likely not.
Never.
Why?
Because that's how much several skins in Pokemon Unite cost.
Like the Sandcastle Crustle that came out or whatever.
Not. I hope not. But the Alolan Ninetales one is 40, and it's ridiculous.
Which isn't even that good.
No. And I do like the Pimp Cane Venusaur skin. That one's only 20 though, so I think that's a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just comparing the League of Legends experience with skins to the Pokemon Unite experience for skins.
Ridiculous.
I know what the $20 skins in League of Legends are and the amount of extra shit you get for them. And to think about paying double that for something that might not even have adjusted spell effects, that the art is worse, I just don't understand it.
This is why Tencent is now having most of their proceeds being sent directly to the Chinese government. It's, yeah.
Big yikes.
Just saying.
Well, now
Eric,
this
what you been playing?
video is flagged.
Sorry, Steven. Sorry. What am I playing? I'm
Are you playing Fire
I
Emblem?
got to gold. I got to gold in League. I still need to get Steven to gold in League. We'll see.
It happens
how.
every time. No,
Yeah.
every time I do it with someone, I'm like, "Hey, let's play. I want to grind up," and they're like, "Oops, you boosted me. I'm out. Bye. I'll see you later."
And so Misfortune bot lane is still really good.
Yes.
And so there's that, and then I'm getting ready to play more Pokemon trading card game, and I'm kind of waiting for a few more days until the new Pokemon game comes out, or the Diamond Pearl remake.
Yeah, the new old game.
The new old.
It's still a month out, ain't it?
Yep, middle of November.
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
What's the end of October? There's an end of October thing that I'm waiting for.
Halloween?
I don't know if
Halloween.
there's a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know of any games coming out in the next week and a half.
Dread right into Diamond Pearl.
Yeah, the Diamond Pearl remake is November 19th. So is the next Final Fantasy XIV expansion. And then Legends Arceus is in February.
Well,
you gotta change some dates in your calendar, my guy. You got something.
I guess. I think I don't know. I think there's something going on. In the meantime, I've been playing Wrath of the Righteous, which is the Pathfinder game. Yeah.
Steven, what have you been playing?
I was playing Jungle, but Jungle is too hard. So I went back to support with Eric, and I forgot what I played. What did we end up playing?
You played Blitzcrank, one of the games.
I did play Blitzcrank. That's fun.
And then you played something else. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a character. It was very impactful. We hard won our games too because
we play a Moo-Moo?
Won our games.
It was a Moo-Moo. You're right.
Did you play a Moo-Moo?
I sure did.
We played MF a Moo-Moo.
Like I was saying, I know what Eric played, so like I can figure this out. Y'all did the MF a Moo-Moo lane.
Yeah.
I did do that. That was fun. I liked that. It was
just
very
for the record,
broken.
if you've gotten to this point in the video and are watching this, I have no idea what they've been doing and haven't been in chat with them since last week. So that was a complete guess, and I'm very proud of it.
I like that. That's a good
one. I have been playing Genshin Impact because I'm a weeb. The end. I almost thought about playing a game of League of Legends this week, and then I decided that would be bad for my mental health, so I didn't. The end.
Valid.
I'm fine watching games. That is enough for me.
It's a sport.
It is a sport, and I like sports. Hooray, sports. So that's about it. We will be back next week. Your little baby schedule update, if you haven't been keeping track. Quarterfinals start on Friday morning at 7 in the morning. And then there are games at 7 in the morning on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Which really, we had to do Monday
I
instead of
am
Thursday.
not
I'm
super
deeply
thrilled.
offended by that on principle because I'm not gonna watch the Gen G, and it's the Gen G C9 game. Like, I will be at work, so I'll have it on, but I'd kind of like to actually watch that game, and you put it on a work day.
Ooh,
Deeply offended, Riot. Get it together.
get it together.
So there you go. Yeah, kicks off with T1 HLE on Friday, and then the series I would be more interested in watching, most interested in watching with the Western teams are Sunday and Monday. So it is what it is, but what we got. But boys, we have a maximum of 35 games of professional League of Legends left in the 2021 season,
Beautiful.
and as few as 21. It's almost over.
Got to get your icon for watching all the videos.
See, they give you one just for watching finals this year, so you can't even like
Can't
catch
even
up on
screw that one up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, I'm not logged in. I'm pretty sure I have all of my watch rewards already because I just leave my lolesports site up on my computer at work, even when I'm not actually watching the games. Okay, no, I need to watch. I need to watch 7 more games
You can manage.
by the end of Worlds, and then I will have completed all 3 of the things for my lovely capsules. Hooray, capsules. I have so many new summoner icons that I'm never going to use. So many. At least I have the exclusive ones just in case I change my mind. Oh well. I did in the drops news, we can end there. I've gotten 2 of the Bose giveaway drops. So I'm signed up for the giveaway. I bothered to sign up all the way since they gave me the drops and like it's a super rare drop. You got to go sign up for the giveaway. So we'll find out in November if I'm getting some fancy stuff, but that's the most interesting thing I've gotten
You and
out
the
of the drops.
15 other people that actually went all the way through to register
Yeah,
for
like
that.
it's. I feel like I have a decent shot since I bothered to fill out the form, but we'll find out. Details. Anyway, we'll be back next week to look at semifinals and get ready for the end. But watch some quarterfinals, watch some videos, go to the Funky store, buy the merch, watch the videos, buy the merch, buy the merch. It looks good. Don't lie to yourself. Anyway, it's been reaction time. We'll see you next week.